Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance. I'm Becky, and I am super excited to be joined by Carolina. Hi, Carolina.
Hey, Becky, I'm glad to be back.
I'm super excited for this episode. I think we'll have a lot to talk about, so we're just going to jump right in, okay?
Let's do it.
So on this episode of A Quick Shot of Romance, Carolina and I are reviewing Wild Island Love by Melissa Foster. This is book 5 in the Steals at Silver Island. We will link the synopsis of the book in our on-the-shelf show notes at buzzingaboutromance.com. Thank you to Melissa Foster and the Shauna at the Author Agency for our advanced copies of this. Release date is August 2nd of 2023. Tropes. Hollywood norm. It's big city for most of the setting, right? It's mostly in New York City.
It is.
Fake dating. Opposites attract. Family series. Close proximity. He falls first.
With a little workplace in there.
Yeah, workplace. So I have one in parentheses. Because I don't know if that is spoilery, and I don't want to spoil this for anybody.
Oh.
So.
Yeah. No, you can't say that one.
Okay. There's another trope, but I can't say it.
And I will preface it to say that it's nothing like...
Oh, no pregnancy. Yeah.
No, like it's not...
No.
It's one, like when you finally read it, message us when you finally read it and we'll tell you, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, that is one.
Yeah. It gives away some of the choices that are made throughout the book, and it isn't revealed till the end, and I don't want to take away, because this book was a reading experience.
Oh yeah, on so many levels.
Okay, so let me finish this up. Series is Steals at Silver Island. It's an interconnected standalone, dual point of view, put out percentage. Why did I...
That number's not right.
Number is not right.
It is 9%. People,
I think it's like...
This is a 9% put out percentage.
Why did I put that? That was another way. It's 10%. It's 10%.
Well, I have it on mine as 9%.
Okay, so 9%. I don't know. That's for a different book that I'm doing later with Amanda.
Well,
anyway.
It does add up to 9 if you add those two numbers together.
It does add up to 9 if you add those. So if you are interested in doing the audiobook, it is done. Audio is read by Maxine Mitchell and Joe Arden, who those two team up. They are chef's kiss of a team. And then we've added the question, is there a third act breakup? And I'm saying yes, because their fake relationship, the time period that is set, comes to an end.
Yes.
And
I would classify this one as a third act breakup.
And let the tears flow. Okay, so let's get into this, because this book was... I am relatively new to Melissa Foster. And when I say that, I say I've probably read maybe 10 books from her. And I counted today, she has 104 books in her backlist.
And I'm excited to say that I am more educated in Melissa Foster's world than Becky, like one of the few series that I can say that in, right? Like, so I have a little excitement, but I'm still newer as well. Like what Becky, you said you maybe read 10, I maybe have read like 20, so I still have a lot of backlist to read of hers.
We do. But one of the things that I was talking to somebody about, and like we here at the podcast love Natasha Madison's books, right? But Natasha's Madison family series have these over-the-top antics and are kind of sports focused. Melissa Foster writes similar interconnected families, but she is heavy on the feels, heavy on the emotions, heavy on lived experiences within her characters and within the world. And I felt like this book really shows lived experiences and what I want in a complicated emotional romance.
I will also say that because we've talked about in Melissa Foster's world, because like all her books are interconnected at some point, so she can bring in people from everywhere, and other series that have a lot of people. Sometimes it gets crowded on the page, sometimes there's a lot. I will say that you need a ton of people from Melissa Foster's world in this book because of the Steele's family, his connections to the Brandons and her connections to the Brandon families, and their connections to LA. So you get Mason and who's the heroine, Remy. So you get a lot of people, but what I will say, the way that she introduces them is supernatural. And it actually, because these are big families and big connections, I related a lot to me introducing my husband to my family, because I come from a big Mexican family. Like, there's different scenes he sees pictures on a refrigerator and she starts talking to people. So it's very relatable. Like, it's very real life in this. It's not like a character dump. It's like this is, this was this time, and this is who this is, and this is this time. And then when you're meeting them, they go and visit her family for an event, and you get their introductions in a very like hilarious Steele family shenanigan ways.
Oh yeah.
That's so natural to that family. And it's like this big family welcome hug that you're like, I want to be part of this family.
Yeah.
Who's available? I'm sorry, Joe, you're out. I'm going to the Steele family.
No, I agree. And honestly, and this is going to sound really weird because this is a book 5 in a series, but because the majority of it takes place in New York City with just Lenny and Duncan, or Raz, he's called by both names through the book, because it's just really the two of them and the main focus of this book, it actually lends itself as a peek into what Melissa Foster writes. And I think it's actually a place that if you are sitting here going, I really want to read Melissa Foster, I pick up every time she has a book for free, every time I see her books in Kindle Unlimited, or she has a 99-cent sale, I pick those books up. But I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know where to start. You actually could start here because of just that. She trickles in the characters, because I've read a couple of her other books, like one of the series that's in the Montlake book, that I think it's book 2 in the Sisters with the Restaurant. There's a scene where they sit down to like a family picnic or barbecue, and it's like 87 people with 87 connections to other stories. And I was so confused and so lost. I didn't know. But because of this, felt like natural introductions into a world when you first start dating somebody.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, so let's talk about Miss Lenny Steele, because we've met her a little bit in these other Steeles at Silver Island books. She is twin to Levi. She's not the youngest. Jules is the youngest, but she and Levi are the next youngest. And she has a little bit of middle sister feels.
Yeah. I mean, she really is somebody that's trying to kind of find her own way and do her own thing. And because of things that have happened in past relationships, she's also super career focused and not relationship focused. So it was actually kind of fun to see. We see usually it's the man like not wanting the relationship, and he's not really out for a relationship either, in kind of for his own reasons. But he does kind of fall first, and so it's good to see the flip, and it's good to see the career focused person in her.
And I would say more so than that she isn't looking for love, she really has given up on it. And it's interesting because we had a conversation today with Jenny that she was looking for this kind of book. And Lenny, through the book, you quickly realize relationships are not a priority, and she doesn't ever think she's going to have the great love.
Right.
She's so happy for her siblings that have the 4 previous siblings, have.
And her parents, her parents have a great example
and her
of it.
grandparents have this huge love, and her
and she's
cousins.
Just like, I don't think that's going to be me. I just don't think I'm going to have it.
I'm going to be the single aunt.
Yeah. And she's kind of okay with that. And as you get to know her, you start to like, as you learn more why and behind you. So, one of the, let me rephrase this. If you've read the books in the series, one of the situations on an ex, Wells. Yeah. If you don't, it's explained in the story of what happened. It was like a high school thing.
Just and side note from Melissa Foster or Lisa, if you're listening, I would really like Wells' book.
Yes, we need Wells' book.
Dude needs to fall and fall hard.
Yes.
Anyway, side note, sorry.
I really hope that this is one of those times where like the side characters become like they show up a lot, and he's shown up in quite a few series because he owns a restaurant bar. So
and he's a flirt.
He's a flirt.
He owns those pages that he's on.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also an enigma because he does something at the end of this book.
And we're not going to say.
We're not going to say, but he does something, and you're kind of like, oh, maybe he's not. Yeah.
Okay, there's a little bit more depth to him.
Right.
Melissa Foster, we need his book. Thank you very much.
But Lenny she's so complex, and I really love her, but I do think she has some middle sister vibes, like kind of. Yeah. She's also the one sibling, while Levi did move off the island and Jock was gone for a while, she is the one sibling that left and didn't come back yet. And I like how Melissa does this. Her writing creates these feelings of, there's a draw and a connection. Like, she wants to be with her family, but it plays into her whole that I don't think I'm capable of a relationship or being loved.
Right.
By being offset from everybody that is in love. And so.
Well, and she uses her work as an excuse and an escape. Like, she puts her head down, and I have this, and this is what I have to do, and I'm trying to, build this and be like create a reputation for myself as a badass PR agent. So,
well, let's talk about Duncan Raz a little bit, because he has a connection to the Braden Brandon, whatever, Montgomery Hill series. He has a connection to that family there, which is her Maryland series. But I've not read that series, so I don't know.
I haven't either.
It seems that his best friend has a book in that series, so I need to go find the best friend's book.
This is one of those prime examples, like, because I've read most of the Steele family stuff and everything there, that I'm like, okay, I need to read this book now. I need his story.
Yeah, but so first of all, I love Hollywood norm romances. I know there are quite a few people that don't love them, kind of put them into the same category with rock stars, and we all know I love a good rock star. But that one of the things that I love about the Hollywood norm is that piece that the bad guy or the villain is the paparazzi. Duncan in this book does not do anything the way Melissa writes him. He does everything right. And boy, is he fucking swoony.
Oh my gosh.
Like, he swoons so...
He listens when, and it reminded me of my husband, when you don't think you're really saying, when you think you're just saying nothing and you're babbling and you're talking, like, they listen to that, and he listens to that and picks up on stuff. And like,
but knowing where she's going to hide, knowing that her snacks are not going to be in the kitchen, they're going to be where she spends the most time.
Most of her time.
So he goes looking in her desk drawer for Cheez-Its.
Or when he brings her food, walks her home and brings her food, and knows that she likes Indian food, so he brings her Indian food. And so...
Yeah. So the way they're
So
set
sweet.
up of so this is a setup of a fake relationship. Duncan is coming off of a very public breakup. He was cheated on by a starlet. He has this big charity publicity red carpet thing he has to walk. And Lenny's cousin, who owns the PR firm that represents Raz, was supposed to set a date up for him with a up and coming movie star or model or something. And I guess she backs out, and Lenny's there working late at night and says, you know, please go on this date with him. He cannot show up alone. Like, it would be a PR nightmare. And eventually she gets bribed and Lenny goes. And that starts this fake relationship. I don't want to ruin the way that night works out, because that night was,
Let's just say they like their chemistry is fire from the beginning.
yeah.
And you know, Lenny is very reluctant to do this, but she understands like the PR ramifications. So as a last resort, she's the one there. Their banter is amazing throughout that. And
Well, they kind of have this adversaries
yeah,
relationship. Like, he is pushing all her buttons. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She hates everything he represents. Back. Yeah. But one of the things that I really, really wanted to talk about, because this, I think, was the first time I've ever seen this happen in a fake relationship romance. And that is that having a relationship, the way Melissa writes this, is that the relationship can have a farther reaching impact. Not only the main characters, but also the other people in their lives. And we see this with the way she brings in his parents, or when she goes to visit her family and he comes along.
Yeah.
And that is not something we often, that felt very unique to this story. Those impacts that when you're in some kind of social relationship with somebody else, you can, the partner can connect with other people, even if it's fake.
Right. And nobody else knows that it's fake. Like and I think it just goes to show how naturally they fit as a couple. Like their family saw them as a real relationship. I mean, because at the points that they were, I mean, we all know as the reader, like, yeah, they're falling for each other. And so that was so natural. And the way that, you know, it was all set up, because you do have the Steele family does tons of pranks, and they bring him in from the get-go on that. And there's just so much of like authenticity with that. I think the other part was, because we'll talk about this in a minute, but this book had so much spice. These two could not keep their hands off each other.
There are three words that come to mind every time I think about this book: strawberry ice cream, pink glitter,
okay,
and bananas.
Silk ties.
Silk top. Oh, I forgot. Okay, so do you think that this might have been one of the spicier romances that we've gotten from Melissa Foster?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because of one, like, I saw this TikTok where somebody was like, the chapters where there's spice, right? And so they did one series, and it was like one book had like one scene, and there was like another book that had like 10 scenes. Like, this is that book. The spice level amps up on this because of the sheer volume of spice and she doesn't shy away from it. She gives it, but they're all natural. It's not forced. It's not chasing a trend. Every moment is natural to them.
They felt like you felt this authentic connection between the two of them, and the unadulterated connection and sexual attraction between the two of them.
Well, and I also love this part of it, because Lenny is very sex positive, and she wants certain things, and she hasn't had that from partners, and even one night stands that she's had. And this is where not only this is another level that they fit and connect, is through their sexuality as well.
Yeah.
then add on to that, they do have kind of this pillow talk aftercare, some stuff, because he doesn't want to just bounce. Like
No.
he wants to stay and hold her and talk. And I mean, we go back to there's one night that he has to stay over at her house to fool the paparazzi, but she's like refusing as much as she wants him. She's like, nope, you can't sleep in my bed, because she knows where that's going to lead. This is where she's still resisting stuff. So he sleeps on the couch. And that's when he finds the Cheez-Its. Like, where are her snacks? Oh, it's not going to be in the kitchen. She spends no time in the kitchen, like you were saying. And they end up having this great conversation. Like, he is like, hey, you still out? You want some snacks? Like the summer party. But they have these deep connections, and there is a connection and a life experience that they both have from slightly different angles that ties them together.
Yeah. No, I agree. And yeah, I will say, I thought, and this is not, it's really one of the funniest scenes I thought was, and at first I was like, what? Archer and Indy show up on their doorstep like the second morning they're together or something. And
well, because Duncan posts a picture.
Yeah.
And it happens to be them
in bed.
And Archer is that super protective brother.
Right.
And Indy like tries to calm him down. She's like, yeah, I calmed him down so he didn't show up last night. Like, I was able to hold him off for overnight, but here we are.
And you think, like, are they gonna, like, is Archer gonna punch him? Because Archer is quick to anger. Like, if you meet Archer, if you read his book, it's book 2 in this series, he is quick to, or no, it's book 3. He is quick to anger. But there's a lot of spice in that book too. Those two couldn't keep their hands off each other either. But Indy and Lenny walk into the kitchen and they're making scrambled eggs. And I'm like, huh, okay. Sure.
And Lenny's like, how did you tame Archer? What did you say?
Are you an Archer whisperer?
Are you an Archer whisperer? Like, what happened here? And I think that's something that throws Lenny off too, is how naturally he fit in with her family. Yeah. Because they do not like hold back with him.
They really don't. They really don't. And I will say there wasn't anything in this book that didn't feel like it belonged. Everything in this book worked to the ending of this book. Yes. Sometimes authors will throw in extra things that cause us to be frustrated or question, like, why is that in there? There was nothing in this book that wasn't supposed to be there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying now. Like everything had a purpose.
The spice worked. His swooning moments worked. And the little hints that Melissa Foster writes in, like the pictures, you know, this is one of those books where you're like, pay attention to the little things. The small things are actually big things.
Yeah, there's full circle moments, and there's moments that add up and build up. Even the use of his name.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, anything else we should know about Wild Island Love?
You have to read it. You just read it. You have to read it. Like Becky said, you can pick this up if you've never read Melissa Foster. Pick this one up. Highly recommend it. Great place to start. Great introduction to her world. If you've read Melissa Foster, just still read it. I'm sure you will, but move this up the list.
It's so good, you guys. It is so good.
It's great. And it's also, it gives you have big city, and it gives you those small town vibes.
Yeah.
With the town and the Halloween party and you know, Duncan's just damn swoony throughout the whole freaking book. And
so swoony. Yes. Do you have a book you think we should review for a quick shot of romance? Send us an email to thebees@bookcaseandcoffee.com. Carolina, thank you so much for reading Wild Island Love with me.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.